Hello out there and welcome to the Revere Veterans and Community Show. Today we have three special guests, and I mean special because they are the ones that made the Revere Veterans World War II Memorial for the Women possible, and they're all here. One of them is, everybody knows, Eileen Merrullo. Welcome to the show, Eileen.
Thank you, Morris.
Lillian DeFilippo from the Woodlawn Memorial, part owner. Thank you for coming here.
Thank you.
And of course, Debbie West, assistant to Mayor Rizzo of Revere. Thank you for coming here, Debbie.
Thank you.
Thank you all for taking the time off. Eileen,
Welcome.
we're going to start with you first. The monument. All started off with a sketch, and the people are going to see the sketch on the monitor right here. So, Eileen, take a good look and tell us how it all got started.
Well, one year at the memorial services in Revere, I was asked to read some of the names of the men that deceased. And then later on I thought, well, there's nothing to remember the women by. And my cousin and my sister and many of the women that I knew were veterans. So I came up with the idea of having a memorial for them. And that's how it all started. Yeah. I went to the mayor, thanks to you. I went to the mayor, and he said, if you need anything, come to me, we'll discuss it. And he referred you to me, and me to you. And I went over to you at the senior center, and we spent almost a whole year over there working back and forth, and erected a beautiful monument thanks to Lillian and her company.
Right.
So.
Now, Lillian, I'd like to get to you about the monument, but before we do, you are part owner of Woodlawn Memorial. And when I came into you with Eileen, I feel we were being treated like king and queen, which is what you did to us. But before we do that, tell us how this all got started. How the Woodlawn Memorial got started.
Well, Eileen came in with her son Roland, and they were thinking of putting a smaller monument with 12 names. And she wanted a price on doing a granite marker like that with the 12 names on that she had. And then from there, it just springboarded into this...
150 plus.
Yeah, actually 150 names. And so we had to figure out how to accommodate it. And that's where you came in, Morris, with the wonderful sketches that you did, with the size of the monument, how it should be. And then from there, we just implemented it, and Eileen came up with all the names, and she had help from Washington to collect them. And we put them all together, and we got a full-size drawing, the exact size of the monument. And Eileen went over it, and she found some misspellings, and we corrected everything, and then we sent it all back. And it turned out really, really nice, and Eileen put so much into it. She's just such a wonderful woman. I think she's a hero to the women veterans.
Lillian, you were talking about the monument with me sketching and things like that. I got to be honest with you. When I came in here with the sketch, I gave it to a gentleman that works for the studio. He's also an artist. He does artistic work, terrific. His name is Sergio Leone. He's the one that took that sketch and made it into the monument that you really see here with the flags at that time that were sticking out. So, Sergio, if you're out there listening, thank you on behalf of the people of Revere, but especially on behalf of Eileen Merrullo.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Serge. And now I'd like to go to that young lady that's sitting way down in the end, Miss Debbie West, who happens to be an assistant to Mayor Dan Rizzo in the city of Revere. Now, Debbie, I got to say thank you to you, too, because when I came to you and needed help with Eileen for the monument, you were there for us. Tell us how you enjoyed doing it. But before we even get to that part, how long have you been working with the mayor's office and how you first got started? We'd love to hear that.
I've been working for Mayor Rizzo for about 1.5 years now.
And how did you first get in there?
After he was appointed mayor after almost his first year, he had an opening and he thought, you know, it would fit with my skills, and he had asked me if I was interested in working there.
And I've got to tell you, Debbie, you couldn't have picked a better person than you, because when I came to you to ask for help, you helped me with the, especially my English, which is not the best in the world. You made the copies for me, you got the Paul Revere school kids. Tell us how you got all these groups together, because you have the people from Soldiers Home. How you went about it, you and the people in there.
Well, we all work as a team in there, along with Sophia Forgione, Joyce DiNuccio, Miles Lang Kennedy. I mean, we all played a role in helping, you know, along with our veterans agent, Nick Boer, as well. And, you know, we all worked on, you know, different aspects as part of our job for Mayor Rizzo to help assist Eileen with this, you know, wonderful monument that she has done.
Right, and before we continue, grab back to you, Eileen. I got a list of names here of the people that could not make it today, that did not show up because they had other functions to do, and I would like to take a minute or so just to thank them. And the first one I would like to thank is our Mayor of Revere, Dan Rizzo. Also, the lady, Joyce DiNuccio, who you mentioned, Miles Lang Kennedy, who helped us. Nick Boyd, the Commissioner of Veteran Affairs in Revere. Thank you, Nick. You helped us. And your secretary, Donna Dreesen. One who never gets knowledge out there is Sophia Forgione. I hope I got that right.
Yep. You did.
Sophia Forgione. Thank you for your help. Council President Ira Novoselsky, who gave us the location of the plot. So, Ira, thank you for your help. Carol Ty, who represented with Eileen. Thank you, Carol. And especially Eileen Merrullo. And also, she's not here, but she's from Fort Lee, Virginia, I believe. Major
Yes,
General
she
D.
is. Yeah.
McWilliams.
Yeah.
And Paul Argentio, who did all the landscaping. Thank you, Paul. And, of course, Sergio Long to make the monument. Thank you, Sergio, again. Now, Eileen, tell us how you met D. McWilliams. By the way, Major General D. McWilliams.
Retired.
Retired.
Yeah, you must say retired.
Thank you.
Well, I had been soliciting funds locally, mostly by word of mouth and TV sometimes, and I got a thing in the paper to send a contribution to this society, the Army Women's Group in West Virginia. So I sent them, I don't know, $25, but I also put in a little note about the program that we were doing, and the problem we had getting money. Well, one night when I was getting ready to cook supper, the phone rang, and I thought, oh, I'm not going to even answer it because I'll boil the potatoes and forget the phone.
Go ahead.
But I answered it, and she said, hi, I'm so-and-so from West Virginia. I said, oh, that's nice, that's nice. And she said, I'd like to contribute $3,200 to your program. So I said, oh.
Could you repeat that figure again?
I said, yeah, $3,200.
That's right.
So I said, oh, yeah, well, that's nice. Thanks very much. And she said, no, I'm serious about it. I said, oh, really? Well, if you're serious, give me a call back. Good night. And that's the truth. So I hung up. I figured, you know, I was bound to get people that were going to do things like that, and I didn't know I'd get it so soon. So a couple of minutes later, the phone rang, and I said, oh, some pest is pestering me again. So hello, not very politely, but because the potatoes are burning. Hello, this is a Major General retired. I said, oh boy, now she has a title. And I spoke to you before, and I'm really serious. I want to contribute money to your thing. And I said, oh, I beg your pardon. I thought you were fooling me. And I said, so I gave her the information, and she said, and besides, I'd like to come to Revere, meet your mayor, meet the people that are involved, and give you the contribution and have it published in the local papers. And I said, oh, great, that'd be great. So that's how that came about.
Fantastic, Eileen. I got to be honest with you. When she came to visit Mayor Dan Rizzo, I was just as shocked as you were on there.
Yeah.
I'd like to get back to you, Lillian. Before we went on the air, we discussed about you had someone, I believe in your family, beside the monuments, who was also a time judge in boxing.
Yes, it was my father-in-law, Judge DeFilippo. He actually grew up on Beach Street, and He was a boxer, which most of the men in that era were boxers because that's the only way they made a few dollars when they went home at night to bring to their family to feed their siblings. And he went on to be a timekeeper and a judge for Ring 4. And he also did the Sugar Ray Leonard fight. His last fight was an exhibition fight at the Prudential Building, and that was the last fight that my father-in-law also did too as a timekeeper. He was a judge. He did the Golden Gloves up in Lowell. He had personal friendship with Leon Spinks and Marvin Hagler.
I watched Marvin Hagler fight. I took my son to see a Marvin Hagler fight.
And he used to, my son used to go with him a lot when he used to go down to Mass Maritime. They used to do the fights there. And he used to do the announcing of the fights at the Harbor House, which is on the Linway. He was very, very involved with it. In fact, there was a Tommy Rawson who was with Boston University. And he also belonged to Ring 4. And even my son boxed for a while. He boxed out of the Somerville Boxing Club. And so he got to meet Vito Antifermo and a few boxers like that too. So boxing's kind of in our background, in my DeFilippo background.
Right. And not only about sports, we were going to have your son David DeFilippo on here, but he couldn't show up. But you gave us a good reason why not. Could you tell the people out there why you can't be here?
Well, he's training for the marathons. I mean, right now he's going to be running the marathon in L.A. in March, and then he will be running the Boston Marathon again. And he actually ran the marathon last year when the bomb went off. He had just crossed over the finish line. And I was actually watching him on the computer, and I knew that he crossed over. And then all of a sudden, we looked at the TV, and it was Susan Warnock saying, pandemonium at the Boston Marathon. And then, like, we're all panicked. Like, where is David? What's going on? Because at that point, we really didn't know. But everything went dead. The phones were dead. You couldn't call anybody or anything. And he took the bombing so personal that he's never told anybody. But we actually made a monument for one of the people that passed away and donated it.
That was
But
nice.
he doesn't want, you know, we never advertise it. I'm not even going to tell you the name because he never wanted any notoriety to come of it. For the family, it's just the family. You know, they're a wonderful, quiet family.
Thank you for what you do, too. Before I get to you, Mrs. West, and I like to call you Mrs. West, Debbie, because you're so pretty. Eileen, first of all, let me salute you, which I forgot, folks. You are a World War II veteran.
That's true.
You worked in Washington.
I did.
Tell us something about that, please. People love to hear about you.
Well, after I graduated from Boston University, I couldn't wait to get into the service because the war was in full bloom then. So I enlisted, and I was stationed at Walter Reed Hospital in Washington, D.C. It's the amputation center for the Army then. And as a physical therapist, a registered physical therapist, that's what I worked on, the amputees, to help them learn to walk and to use their prosthesis and to come back to their loved ones a full person. Yep.
That's it?
That's it. That's what I did.
Fantastic. Now, Debbie, I want to get back to you. Tell us a little about yourself, because you're the youngest of all these three. I hope the people realize that. Tell us about your education, growing up. And what city did you grow up in?
I grew up in Revere.
Oh, so you're a Revere
I
resident.
graduated from Revere High School in 1978. I went to Marion Court Junior College, and I worked my first job. I worked in the legal field as a legal assistant, and then I worked as a paralegal for 30 years before coming to work for the city of Revere.
Fantastic out there. Now, let me ask you this here about Veterans Affairs. Now, people Nick Brewer, who's in charge of the Revere Veterans.
A wonderful man, by the way.
Right. And he's also an Air Force veteran during the Vietnam War. So thank you for your service, Nick. Any of your brothers or sisters in the service on your side, Debbie?
No.
How about you, Lillian?
My brother was a Marine. Once a
hear about
Marine,
it.
always a Marine. He had embassy duty.
Which
He
war
was
was
on
that
the
in?
USS Albany.
Albany.
He was a seagoing Marine.
And during which war was that?
He wasn't in the war because the age difference.
Oh, I see.
So he
And how many years did he serve there?
I guess he served 4 years until, you know, his enlistment was up. He enlisted.
Good.
That was
I got to
nice.
go back to you, Lillian, for a minute. You were talking about the boxing, about Marvin Hagler and Sugar Ray Leonard. When I was a kid, we had a boxer, too. His name was Joe Louis. We called him the Brown Bomber.
Yes.
And let me tell you, we loved him because he beat Max Schmeling, who happened to be a representative of Nazi Germany. And we were heading for war with Germany at that time. And they had the super race. Now, Schmeling knocked Louis out in the first fight. And the reason Louis said that because he thought he had a terrific punch and he didn't train. But for the second fight, he trained and he knocked Schmeling out in the first round. Louis went in and served in the Army and the military to entertain the troops, boxing in there. But he ran into a problem with his income tax, and he wanted to be buried in Arlington National Cemetery, where, by the way, you and I, Eileen, went down on the honor flight.
We did, yeah.
They refused to let him be buried there, but it took a president of the United States by the name of Ronald Reagan to okay it, and he's buried in Arlington National Cemetery now. So
Which
I
he
don't know if
deserved.
you made the monument for him.
No, but you know, my father-in-law did make the monument for Jay Kilrain.
Who was Jake?
Jay Kilrain's the one that went so many rounds with John L. Sullivan.
Oh, for goodness sake.
That's a long time ago.
He made the monument for Jay Kilrain.
Imagine that.
Right. There was a movie, I'm glad you mentioned that, with Errol Flynn called Gentleman Jim.
Gentleman
Corbett
Jim.
and John L.
Right.
Sullivan.
They boxed, at that time, they boxed barehanded.
Right.
They didn't use gloves.
Fantastic. Now, Debbie, what would you like to see in the future for yourself? As you know, talking about what you would like to see your mayor do for the city of Revere and what he's done. I got a lot of good points he's done, which I will elaborate on. But you tell me what you would like to see him do.
Well, I think he's done a great job in changing the image of the city.
I think so,
mean,
too.
from, you know, the get-go, from his, you know, first day in the office, the image of the police department, you know, I feel very safe and comfortable in the city. I mean, Chief Joe Caffarelli is a great leader.
Yep.
Well
I've had him on
respected. I mean,
all
all
over
of the
it.
police. I personally participated in the Citizens Police Academy last fall, which is a wonderful way of just seeing how much they do. You know, is amazing, and how they go about their job. It was a 8-week course, and you got a 4-hour ride along. It was run by Lieutenant Amy O'Hara. They're going to be doing it again in the spring, starting, I believe, the beginning of April. That they're opening up to the public, you know, and that's a great way to see how, you know, the city works. You know, there's a lot of changes, economic development, you know, what's going on.
What I'd like to say to Mayor Dan Rizzo, thank you, Mayor, for having the Columbus Day Parade back in the city of Revere, which we missed for quite a while. And I understand this year it's going to be in East Boston.
Yes.
And they're going to be alternating it, so East Boston this year, next year in the city of Revere.
Yes, we'll just have the Columbus Day breakfast that raises money to benefit the parade, and it will be the alternating every other year, alternating with East Boston.
Good. So, for you folks, East Boston this year, our lovely city, Revere, next year.
Morris, let me say something about the mayor.
Please
while
do.
we're
Please
talking
do.
about him.
Please do.
I had gone down to Bohr's office to present the idea to him. And he said he thought it was a wonderful idea, but he had so much to do with the parade coming up in the Memorial Day and all. He said, do what you can, just let me know. He said, I said, okay. He said, what shall I do first? He said, well, you should go and get permission from the mayor. So I went right from his office, and sure enough, the mayor was just getting out of his car. So I went right up to him, and his chauffeur, or the fellow that was driving around, had to be a student of mine. So we exclaimed, "Hey, Mr. Merrullo," gave me a big hugging and a kiss. That was my introduction to the mayor, see? So I told him that of the idea of the project that I wanted. He said, "I think it's wonderful. When you have a few minutes, come up to my office, we'll discuss it, and that'll be that." So sure enough, I had a few minutes. I went up to his office a month or so later. He approved the plot at the Legion that the monument could go. He was in favor of it. Wonderful. So that's
worked out good.
I met the mayor.
That's why I like to call you the mother of the monument, because you are the one that created it. So
Sure.
again, thank you, Eileen.
Thank you. Thank you, Morris.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah.
So, Debbie, I want to get back to you. What I would like to see, and the people would like to see in the city of Revere, is I hear they say Big Brother, because they want to put cameras on. But it was the cameras that caught the Sanaya brothers that did the Boston
right.
bombing. And it wasn't cameras that were put up by the city of Boston. It was the individual cameras along the businesses there, I believe it was.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And the FBI was smart enough to take each film and look at that. And what they happened to find out was that they watched the two brothers. They didn't know that it was them, but they noticed people with packs. They were looking for people with backpacks. And they saw these two with the backpack, one camera, backpack, no backpack. And then they realized who to go after, and they went after them. So cameras do prevent crime. Mm-hmm. There's another case I would like to mention that happened on the MBTA about a veteran not too long ago. Somebody stole his wheelchair and beat him up, but it was the cameras that caught him, and he had to turn himself in because he knew he couldn't get away. So I was going to ask you, how do you people feel about cameras, if I may?
Oh, as you said, I agree with everything you said, that it's a great thing. There's no problem.
Right, even though you hear big brothers watching you, if you're not doing any crime, you don't have to worry about the time.
No, I feel that the way things are today, to protect people,
right.
I think it's a necessary thing to do.
I do too, and I'm sure
I would feel safer if I knew, if I had to go out maybe later on at night or something to Broadway or anywhere, that the cameras were there.
I do too. When I get off the bus, for example, on Winthrop Avenue on Broadway, there, and I got to walk to the Legion at night, and I see those new lights up there on the street that's all lit up, and I say to myself, "Thank you, Mayor Dan Rizzo." No, I don't scream it out loud, I'll get locked up, but I do say it to myself, "Thank you, Mayor."
You know, Morris, did you thank Paula Genzio?
I did mention his name on there for the landscaping that he
Okay,
did.
because I have worked with Paul on many, many times, and, you know, I've called him last minute and said, "Paul, you know, we have to change something. Can you take those flowers out, and can you come back in 2 days and do them over again?" I mean, he's just so obliging. Absolutely obliging.
Many years ago, I worked for Paul Agenzio at the Garfield School doing the cleaning up around the area where they had the baseball field. Yep. I had to do the work of program, I guess it was in those days.
Yeah.
Paul Agenzio was my supervisor, and let me tell you, he was a terrific supervisor. And if I had to pick anyone for a boss out of a lot of people, I would pick him.
No, he's always been very obliging. Anything that we needed when we were doing anything that was civic, he would be the first person I would call. And he's always been there for us.
Well, as far as the monument was concerned, within a week, he had a beautiful garden out in front of that, within a week. Yeah.
Oh, excuse me, Eileen. You mentioned something about the monument, that it wasn't exactly in the middle of the 3 columns that we did. Tell us about that story.
Do you want me to tell you the story?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. The monument was coming in a week before the dedication, and we met the trucks and everything, and then we had to get the crane in there to lift it off. As my son's opening it, I looked at it and I said, "Oh my gosh," I'm saying to my son, don't put it up. Don't put it up." And he's saying, "But we have to. You know, you have any complaints about it, we'll handle it, but it has to go up because, you know, the dedication's going to be, we won't have anything there." So we had it erected, and I went back to the office and I called everybody in Vermont, and I said, this has to be perfect. This is my city, and as far as I'm looking at it, you have the right-hand column too far over to the right, and the middle column is not in the middle, so it makes everything look off-centered. In 1 week, we got another whole new monument made and delivered just in time.
And I got to tell you,
Days ahead of time.
right?
Yeah,
the
that's
pe-
amazing.
You know, this monument represents the people of Revere because we are only one with all the names that are listed on there. The
Of
people
women, of women.
Of women, right, of World War II. The people of Revere should sometimes just take a little walk and look at that monument because you pay for it indirectly. Eileen went out and, oh, God almighty, 150 names.
I wore out 2 pairs of shoes, remember, Morris?
I know that you made me pay for the second pair. So, anyway, telephone calls, talking day and night. We did it on weekends, we did it during the weekend there. And it came to fruition, and there it is, when you see that beautiful monument.
And Morris, if anyone has the names of relatives there, it would be nice if they called us and told us about it. I'd be happy to know somebody that recognized somebody
Would you want to give
there.
them your number if they want to contact you in case they have
Well,
someone?
they can contact you.
Or the Revere
Or
Veterans,
the Revere Veterans.
which
that
is
would be great.
781-286-8119, I believe it is.
Or
Revere
even-
Veterans Service.
Or even the senior center,
Right.
if that's convenient.
Right,
Sure.
and that is at 25 Winthrop Avenue, 781-286-8156.
Yeah.
And something else we got now at the Revere Veterans Community Show. People don't know it, but we just got it hooked up. We have an email, and it's called rvc@reveretv.org. I'll repeat that. rvc@reveretv.org, the Revere Veterans Community Show. If you have anything you would like to see an improvement on the show, or you have any suggestions for the show, email them in. We'd love to hear from you. And by the way, I want to get back to my 3 beautiful guests here.
That's us.
No, that's you, Eileen.
Women.
No, I got to tell you, folks, it's an honor to have these ladies on here because they each do a thing for the community. She's a veteran of the community, she's a community veteran, and she's a community veteran. So, Lillian, what do you expect to see in the future on cemetery, on memorials, really?
Well,
Because, excuse me for 1 second, I went to Bourne. They will not allow you to put a monument on the grave there. It has to be a level. Am I right, Eileen?
Exactly, yeah.
Level. What is the reason for that?
well, maintenance, actually. And they can just cut the lawn and just go right along. They could actually go right over it with the lawnmower.
So would that
makes
affect you in
sense.
any way? I mean,
No, because there's certain areas, even in Woodlawn Cemetery, if people buy this certain area, they have to have a flat marker.
today even?
Yeah. There's certain areas, they have a bronze area, they have a granite area, and they're flat granite markers or flat bronze markers.
And you make the markers too if they need
Yes.
it? Oh,
And then if you buy for, say, 2 or more people, you can have an upright monument.
right. You know, you've been so good to us. Why don't you tell us the number of people want to contact you, let's say, and they want to have a marker made or a monument made? How would they contact you?
Well, they would call Woodlawn Memorials at 617-387-5058. And, of course, I'm there all the time. My sister-in-law, Terry's there. Her husband is part owner, and so is she, of Woodlawn Memorials. And actually, we spend half our life there. We work 6 days a week, and anyone can call us at any time.
Thank you. And by the way, Debbie, if people want to get some help from the city of Revere, especially seniors or veterans, how would they contact your office, if I may?
Well, they can call the mayor's office, and we're always happy to help out anyone that calls. We try to,
Can
please
you tell some
everyone.
of the stories of the people that have called you? Just a few, no, but don't mention any names.
I mean, we do, we try to help out everyone, whether it's a pothole, their street needs to be sanded, getting them the right services. If they call, we try to refer it. The guys are great. We call a DPW. They'll send someone out to, fix a pothole, send a sander out to a street.
What I like about the city of Revere now, personally, I've lived here for 65 years, is that the mayor has now become more, this new mayor, more with the people. I mean, he has a lot of meetings with the people, not with the crew, not with the heads of different departments, but with the people, and he gets all input from us, and we love that.
He's definitely a people person.
Right,
Sure
is.
definitely.
Absolutely
Yeah.
a people person.
Right. And
I mean, you
love
could
him.
approach him at any time.
Yeah, that I
You
could
can call
tell
him
you.
Dan, you can call him Danny, you can call him Mr. Mayor. He's a
I
great,
call him His
great
Honor
guy.
when I
Yeah.
have him on TV as Mr. Mayor.
He's a great guy.
Yep. And I know his wife, too, by the way.
Oh, Jane, she's
Yep.
a sweetheart.
And I
She's
have
a
to say
sweetheart.
this to Mayor Dan Rizzo every time he has a function. Every time. And he, by the way, people don't know that. About 12 years ago when he was on the council, I think he first got on the council about 12 or 11 years ago. He was the first one that gave me a nice little plaque for what we do at the senior center, and I still have it. And it's dated 1999 or 1998. So, Mayor Dan Rizzo, if you don't remember, I do. Thank you, and I still have it on there.
But you know, Morris, I do see changes in the city already.
For the better.
For the
Of course.
absolutely for
For
the
the
better.
better.
Broadway itself,
Yes.
beautiful.
You know, when you go to other cities and you see their main avenues, such as even Wakefield or Melrose or even Reading has done a lot to their center, that's what I'd like to see for Revere. You know, and I see a lot happening now with the lights that have come along
Right.
in that building on the
The
corner
old
of
trees
Pleasant
taken
Street
down,
and
yeah.
Broadway. They
Yeah.
have those beautiful lanterns on that building.
Yeah.
They put the beautiful flowers up in the
Yep.
spring, which we're all looking forward to seeing flowers again. I see a lot coming.
A lot of people say, well, it isn't getting done fast enough. You know what I tell them? Take your time, because the journey of 1,000 miles begins with but a single step. And my boss always used to say to me, inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's hard. So things do take time, and the city of Revere is taking time, but the time it's taken will be an improvement of not 100, not 200, but I believe 1,000%. And we love the people of Revere. And I got to tell you, these people couldn't be here, so I'm going to throw it at you, Debbie. If you could just tell us a little about them. If you can't, just bypass it. Miles Lang Kennedy, I went to him for help. He helped me too. He helped Eileen. Tell us a little about Miles, since he couldn't be here. And thank you, Miles.
Miles is Mayor Rizzo's chief of staff. I mean, he's very knowledgeable. I mean, he's taught me everything I've learned. You know, he's a great asset in the office.
He is.
He works hard and does a lot of work. And for someone so young, I mean, he's very, very intelligent and very knowledgeable and very skilled.
And good looking, too.
Is he married?
No.
Okay, you girls out there.
An avalanche.
An avalanche.
Yeah, how can I cut? Never mind. Little about Joyce Denunzio. She couldn't be here.
Yep, Joyce is actually on vacation. She gets to miss, hopefully, the bad weather coming our way tomorrow. Oh, Joyce is great. Everyone loves Joyce.
Everybody.
She's, yeah.
Everybody.
The secretary in the office, she's, you know.
The first words when I walk in there, and she would say, Morris, how can I help you? What
Yes.
can I do for you? Veterans, non-veterans,
Right.
senior, non-senior. She's there for everybody.
She is.
And the one that gets the least recognition because she's always busy on the phone is Sophia Forgione.
Yep, she's Mayor Rizzo's executive secretary assistant, and Sophia's great. You know, with the people that come in the office, she deals, you know, with them all the time. I mean, we all do, but you know, she does the mayor's schedule, which is very time-consuming and busy, and you know, we all work together great as a team.
Right. I guess we're going to be
Wonderful.
closing up, so what I'm going to do is give you each as much time as you want to take and talk about what you'd like to finish up. So let's start with the youngest one right here, Eileen. Okay, Eileen?
That's right, Morris, the youngest one.
Right.
Yeah, you're sure. First of all, I want to thank you personally for the wonderful work you did on the monument.
Oh, thank
Couldn't
you.
have done it without you. And your daughter, she was an inspiration all the way, all the way. And Morris, of course, I don't know what I'm
You
going
got me
to
mixed up with the
I
other
don't
one.
know what I'm going to do with you. Your brother was a big help, but,
I know that.
but otherwise. But I do want to thank everyone that participated and that contributed
Right.
to make something worthwhile.
I want to thank the whole country because they all really, from every, I think we had all 50
From
states.
every state, yeah, from every state.
From
we had-
Hawaii to Alaska.
Absolutely.
From Florida to Maine. From California
Yeah.
to Washington.
The
I think I know my
dollars, the
geography a little bit.
$5, yeah, everything added up, right?
Yep.
And the books are closed, all the bills are paid. we're
And now
all
we
done.
can go to Hawaii like we said we were going to do. Okay. Lillian, take as much time as you need and say what you like to close with.
Well, I knew Eileen as a teacher at the Lincoln School.
Yeah, Eileen, excuse me. What did you teach at the Lincoln School?
Science,
Oh,
7th and
Are
8th grade.
you surprised that it would be science?
No, not with her.
Because, yeah.
Not with her.
And that's how I knew her. But getting to know her more personally, she's actually brilliant. She's done a lot of things that people don't even know that she's done. Like she invented some apparatus for veterans that were amputees.
That's right.
That helped them
I
get
walked up in the
around.
hospital.
Yes. And never took credit for it and just passed it off to the government. She's an amazing, amazing woman. And I'm honored to have been part of this, Eileen. You are special.
Eileen, I got to interrupt you for this because I saw this on TV last night. It's funny you should mention that. They showed an arm that, which is a mechanical arm, but it works by electricity that would be hooked up to the veins or to the nerve system, and you would have feelings as you would move that arm, and it's a mechanical arm, and they're working on that, and it all is because of the veterans coming home with their arms.
That's
so
right.
it's actually the veterans during the war times that I don't know that big word that they use. What do you call that when you put a brace on or something? They have a name for that.
The prosthesis.
The prosthesis. All new inventions are coming out, thank you, Eileen, because of the wars out there.
True
So
enough.
you were part of that then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
She
Thank you.
was.
Go ahead, Lillian.
So
I'm
I've
sorry.
learned a lot about her. And we have a personal friend, too, who taught at the Lincoln School, too, which is Richard Capagia. And, I mean, he told me a lot about Eileen, too. Special teacher, special person.
Thank you. Go ahead, Debbie.
I just enjoy, it was my job to work with them, but it was something that I enjoyed doing. I got to work with Eileen, Carol Ty, my former English teacher, former, superintendent. It was just great. Meeting you used to come in and tell us jokes all the time.
That was my brother.
Yeah.
I'm a serious person.
Must remember to thank Carol Ty
Yes,
because she was the spokesperson.
right.
And she
She
made
did a
that.
great
she
job.
had that run beautifully.
Yep.
There wasn't a hitch in everything. It was perfect. So thanks to Carol.
Right.
That ceremony was so successful that they ran out of programs.
They did.
They ran out of pens. They ran out of food.
Right.
And I think Debbie ran across the street and ordered more pizzas or something.
And they ran out of
I have to
chairs.
tell you something before we close.
And they ran out of chairs.
We ran out
Right.
of chairs.
All right. But not
And-
only that there, people say Saturday, you're having that on a Saturday, you're not going to have much of a crowd. Let me tell you, we had the biggest crowd we ever had at
That's
the
right.
American Legion that
Right.
Saturday.
It was
Somebody had mentioned we'd maybe get 8 to 12 people
Yes.
at one time.
I think we could multiply that by 50.
And Paul Argento was running around trying to get more chairs because, I mean,
Yeah.
it was
It was
much
wonderful.
more.
It was-
Yeah.
The weather was wonderful.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
wonderful.
Because it was the people of Revere.
Yeah.
It showed the heart of the people of Revere.
You're right,
That's
Eileen.
what it was.
And with that, I want to thank each and every one of you. First of all, it's an honor for me to know each and every one of you. And I want to thank you again for your service, Eileen.
I love you.
I love you too. Thank you.
And I love all of you.
Right, thank you, Lillian DeFilippo and Debbie
Thank
West.
you.
Thank you all for coming. God bless us all. I usually say God bless you, but this time I say God bless us all, the city of Revere, our great country, our troops, and especially the United States of America, which is our great country. Not only our great country, but the greatest of the countries. Thank you.